How's it going, everybody? So we had a little bit of technical difficulty here. My phone was not flipping. It was not following in the ways of the world. It was not flipping on its side or upside down or any which way. Quite appropriate. Just one sec, guys. Whoa! That was one of those. Took a while to get out there. Ugh. Don't you just love those sneezes when you feel like you have to sneeze and the thing's just not coming out for like 2 or 3 minutes and finally. Anyway. So, we should all be healthy. So, as suspected, as predicted, the Israeli Knesset, upon the first reading of the bill, have decided to go into the realm of dystopia. What do I mean by that? They have decided that they are going to force people, Israelis who are returning from abroad at the moment, to, if they are going to quarantine in their house, they have to wear a bracelet. I'm an Israeli citizen. I Tzvi, am an Israeli citizen. I want to return to Israel, but if I want to quarantine inside my own home, I have to wear a bracelet either on my hand or on my ankle. And if I don't, then I'm going to be put into a quarantine hotel. So either I'm going to a glorified prison, or I'm going to be like, one of these guys on parole. That's basically what I am. My friends, I saw a picture of a couple of Israelis. I guess they landed at the airport and they're wearing these bracelets, and they're wearing them proudly. These 2 young Israelis, I think they're in like mid-20s. And I'm just looking at these people, and I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I guess it's because they grew up in Israel. Maybe it's because I grew up in America. And I'm thinking to myself, like, how demoralized do you have to be? How compliant and complacent and lacking in understanding of what freedom and liberty actually are do you have to be to not only sign up for this, accept this, but also, like, have a smile on your face from ear to ear as you're doing it. My friends, I don't know, maybe it has to be a cultural, like, chasm, in mentalities and sensibilities. It can only be explained in that way. It can really only be explained that way, my friends. And for those of you who are saying, come on, Tzvi, this is for the good of the country, and Israel's going to be, like Bibi said, it's going to be the world champion in vaccines, and the world champion of getting out of lockdowns, and the world champion of this, and the world champion of that. My friends, our sages told us that before Moshiach would come, the face of the generation would be like the face of a dog. Pnei hador, pnei hakelev. And I'm looking at these 2 people in this photo at the airport wearing this, essentially it's a dog tag for humans. Not only that, my friends, I mentioned this yesterday, and maybe even in the lecture before that, in the past 2 or 3 talks that I've been doing. I'm not sure if you guys know, the CEO of Pfizer, a Sephardic Jew from Greece, Albert Bourla, he is a doctor. But what is he a doctor of? No, he's not a PhD, or maybe he is, but he's a real doctor. He's a doctor. But he's not an MD. He is a veterinarian. He's an animal doctor. And he came on NBC and he said, what was it, a couple of weeks ago, he said, Israel is the world's lab. And Avigdor Lieberman, leaked to the press, to the international press, that he said, yes, Bibi has in fact made a deal with Pfizer to allow Israel to be the world's lab. Did he ask Israelis? No. Did he ask anybody? No. Did he get anybody's approval? No. My friends, whenever anybody, human beings, participate in a study, in a trial, in a medical trial, they have to be asked. They have to do so voluntarily. If they are not asked, or if they did not volunteer to do so, what you're doing is a crime. It is illegal according to the law of any country. I think it's international law, if I'm not mistaken. It's definitely illegal in America. I don't know what the law is. I know in Israel they have something called the Nuremberg laws, where you're not allowed to do medical experiments on people. I don't know if you even can do it with their permission. I'm not really sure. I'm not up on the specifics of it. But did he ask anybody? He didn't ask anybody. He just went and did it. My friends, Pnei Hador, Pnei HaKelev. I'm telling you, everything from, these dog tags, essentially, to the veterinarian CEO of Pfizer, who's basically treating, essentially his homeland, because he's a Jew. He's treating his birthright homeland like a dog, like animals, like we're animals. 5 million people in Israel, more than, I would say, 75% of the country, have been vaccinated. And Bibi says, we vaccinated everybody, or we're trying to vaccinate everybody over 16 years of age, and now we're going to go for everybody over 12. And I don't know, are they going to go for the babies? My friends, again, I'm not going to use the H word, or I'm not going to say the word Shoah, because it seems like a lot of people, when you use that word, they say, I'm offended, this comparison is offensive, I'm offended, every other person is offended, I'm offensive, how dare you, shame on you, shame on you, shame on you. My friends, I feel like sometimes when I'm talking to people about these issues, I feel like I'm talking to people in kindergarten. Shame on you, shame on you, shame, 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 shame on you. You can't even have a conversation with people. There's no debate. They just tell you the science is in, there's no debate, the science is in, trust the science is in, it's for the good of the country, for the good of the health, people are dying. My friends, about as many people died from this thing in the world as have died from heart disease and other issues. And now you guys say, well, no, more people would have died if we hadn't done X, Y, and Z. My friends, I pose the argument that no, more people would not have died. If anything, we probably reported more people dying from COVID than need be. Because a lot of these hospitals, as you guys know, got basically, payoffs to report COVID deaths when they're actually not COVID deaths. They put people on ventilators. Again, my grandmother was, she passed away of blessed memory in December, and she was 96 years old, 94 years old, and they wanted to put her on a ventilator. My mom is like, no, they're not going to do that. You don't even need to put her on a ventilator. And I'm like, what? So you guys could report her that she died of COVID, even though she didn't die of COVID? She passed away from, heart issues, a heart attack, or whatever, cardiac infarction. My friends, that's a different conversation. But the point is, what's happening in Israel is sinister. And, my friends, it's really Pnei Hador, Pnei HaKelev. The fact that you can't even have a conversation. The fact that people are just literally like dogs barking at you, literally barking you down, and shouting you down, and canceling you, and banning you. You guys probably heard there's a party called Rapeh. And the head of the party in Israel, he's a doctor, he's a medical doctor. And the government, the Ministry of Health, suggested that his medical license be taken away. Right now, they suspended it. I don't know if they took it away completely. My friends, this is only done in totalitarian regimes, or by totalitarian regimes. This is done in countries where there's basically dictatorship. This is a medical dictatorship, my friends. All under the guise of safety and security. My friends, this is typical Orwell 1984 kind of stuff. V for Vendetta, if you guys ever seen that movie. With with, you know, the wonderful leftist Natalie Portman. I mean, and guys, I'm telling you, knowing the history of Israel and some of the sinister stuff that was done, let's say to the Yemenites, and also sinister stuff that was done by the Jewish Agency and the Mapai Party, you know, with not standing against, with not standing against the British when there were ships coming in from Europe during the Holocaust, and you know, also Jewish Agency that was doing work, I mean, basically not doing work in America to raise money to save Jews in the Holocaust. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that happened, my friends, that gets swept under the rug. And you know, people go on the birthright trip and they take young students to the house of Ben Gurion. If they only knew what Ben Gurion did, I mean, I doubt that they would be taking students to the house of Ben Gurion. I'll tell you that, my friends. Don't get me started on that. So yeah, guys, we have this law. I don't know how long it's going to last. It's funny because they were speaking about they were apparently they weren't going to do it. They came out with a directive in the beginning of the week. They said, we're not going to do this. We're just going to let people quarantine in the house and, you know, just put more police and to track everybody, you know, via their phones, or come to, you know, people's houses and just make sure they're there. My friends, one thing I learned about Israel and Israelis, guys, no offense to any Israelis watching, you know, they'll say one thing and then you think that, like, okay, this is basically like, this is how it's gonna be. Like, you get it into your head that this is set in stone, and then like 2 or 3 days later, they literally come back, pretend like you never had that conversation, they pretend like they never said it, and they just flip the script on you. They just literally take whatever they said or whatever they're gonna do, they flip it on its head, they do the opposite, or they do something else, and then you say, well, I thought you said you're not gonna do that. No, I never said that. Or, oh, I changed my mind. Come to think of it, no. Or they just, you know, you could come and you can tell them, you know, I recorded this conversation. I can play your boards back for you. They're going to say, I don't care. It doesn't matter. You can play back all you want. It doesn't matter. I changed my mind. It doesn't matter. whatever I said is, okay, I said it. Good. So what? Azman. They say Azman. My friend Brian Lasseter is writing, yeah, I don't like the H word either, but this goes sideways, which it could. It could be horrific. As someone with knowledge of proteins and how they function, it's dangerous. Yeah, listen, my friends, I'm not even talking about the vaccine itself. You know, I'll tell you guys, I had a conversation with a good friend of mine. It was a conversation. It definitely wasn't he didn't shout me down. He didn't cancel me. He didn't insult me. We had actually a very civil conversation. He's a very intelligent guy. He's a very thoughtful guy. I really appreciate him. I appreciate that about him. And I pointed out to him about the whole thing with the CEO of Pfizer, and he goes to me like kind of tongue-in-cheek. Yeah, is it a little bit Mengele sounding? Is it a little bit kind of like, you know, genocide sounding or Holocausty sounding? Yeah, you could say that. But to think, that there's something sinister at play is paranoia. And he goes to me, I'm really excited about this new mRNA thing. It's very exciting in the field of, in scientific progress and all these kind of things. And I didn't even, honestly, because I didn't even call him out on this, but because he's such a sweet guy and I love the guy. But I'm just like, in the same breath, this really intelligent person, in the same breath, says, yes, it's Mengele, yes, it's the H word, but I'm excited about an mRNA, and I'm excited, and there's nothing sinister, and it's, to think otherwise is paranoia. I'm just like, I literally, my jaw dropped to the floor when I heard his message to me. We're talking on WhatsApp. My jaw dropped to the floor. My friends, I recently came across from like a quote, a very long quote, it's more of a paragraph, by the physicist of blessed memory, Carl Sagan, and he basically talks about how, the people who are bamboozled, the people who were fooled, really intelligent people, it's very difficult for them to admit it to themselves that they were bamboozled. Why? Because they're very intelligent. And if they're very intelligent, how could it be that they were fooled? They're smart people, at the end of the day. And these are the people where you have to really watch out. These are the people where it's the hardest for them to come to grips with the fact that they've been fooled. You know, and these are the people that are, you know, some of them are leaders, and some of them are you know, the people who are kind of in society who are coming out and they're saying, yeah, everybody's got to, you know, trust the science and trust this and trust that and trust this guy and trust BB and trust this and trust that. My friends, some of our luminaries, some of them are not alive, they told us that we would be bamboozled and it would be very difficult for us to get out of this stupor. For many of us to get out of the stupor. You know, I was just talking to a friend of mine and we were asking each other, how come we are not susceptible to this? How come we see it and other people don't? I mean, there's a lot of us like out there, like they also see it. And I told them, you know, I don't know about you, man, I'm not susceptible to hypnosis because it's really a type of hypnosis if you think about it. You know, and I was mentioning that if you guys use the example, I want to use the example of Obama. You know, when Obama was running for president, I remember at the time I was like in my late 20s, and I remember like people were just enthralled. You know, they heard the words hope and change, and they heard that phrase, we are the ones we've been waiting for, and you know, all these nice slogans and catchy things. And I even had a friend, that I think actually that same friend, tell me, you know, man, I was also in that cult. I was also in the cult of hope and change. And now I realize that it was all no hope and all change. You know, what do they say? After Obama, you have no hope and the only thing you'll have in your pockets is change. My friends, it's the same thing now. People are just being hypnotized and mesmerized and sucked into this. Again, I call it in another video, sucked into this avodah zarah. And now they're just willing to become dogs, you know, dogs that are basically being treated by a veterinarian, the CEO of Pfizer, you know, and this veterinarian is treating a bunch of dogs, and now we are officially, my friends, in the generation that has the face of a dog. Pnei hador kipnei hakelev, my friends, and the words of our sages ring true. And what I will say is, if they say that this is happening right before Moshiach, or this is going to happen right before Moshiach, Moshiach should come very, very soon, because clearly, my friends, this is not going to be solved. We are not going to be able to solve this. Neither the leaders of Israel, supposed leaders, neither the leaders of, you know, Chutz La'aretz, the diaspora, or, you know, the leaders of the Western world, or the rest of the world, really. It's clearly not going to be solved, because this country has this policy, that country has this policy, this state has that policy. Guys, I'm flying to Florida, Zat Hashem, this evening. You know, as you guys know, it's a little bit lax out there, the governor. But the point is, there's no one uniform thought process. It's just, you know, in Hebrew it's mitbalbel, it's like confusion. Everything is mixed up. And the only solution, my friends, is Moshiach, really, for us to see the emes of how to proceed over here, because we don't know what the emes is. But one of the signs is that the face of the generation is going to be like the face of a dog. And we're there, guys. We're really there. Alright, guys. That's enough for me for now. Catch you very soon.